Go.
Hello teachers. So in all your classrooms you should now have a iPad ALP stand already plugged into the wall. A couple of things to note on here is there's a speaker and you have your microphone here, and then you're also going to have the receiver on the back of your iPad. The only thing that you're going to ever need to disconnect from your ALP iPad stand is your microphone. So down here attached to the wire, you're just going to have your microphone, and you can disconnect that from the power cable. And if you also have the microphone around here, that's fine. Everything else just stays connected to the stand, and there's no need to disconnect that. Once you have these, just like normal when you have with your laptop, you'll turn both on. And then wait a second, and it'll turn a solid blue color on both the receiver and the microphone part. So you're ready to go ahead and start recording with your microphone. Once you're regular to use your iPad, inside your little stand here, everybody will have a little white piece of paper that has your passcode on it. All iPads have a passcode on it so students don't log into it. Before you use your iPad though, you want to disconnect the power from the wall, because otherwise it creates a buzzing noise that your ALP students will hear. So make sure you disconnect it from the wall. Once you're in, go ahead and open up Google Meet, and it should go ahead and ask you to log in. You're going to use your school email address. So in this case, I'm just kind of using a fake account I have, so don't actually type in mine. You're going to use yours. With a really long address that everybody loves to type. And the nice thing is, once you do this once, you do not have to do it again. It's just kind of a one-time thing, and Google Meet will then remember it on your iPad. So once you're in, I already have a meeting set up. So this is set up on my school account. So my Classroom One account on my laptop, I've already added this ALP event to my calendar. We've noticed some other teachers, they have like a separate calendar for like ALP calendars. Do not do that, or it does not show up under here. It has to be your own personal school account calendar to show up. So once it's on there, you can just click on the event. You'll see you have your calendar or your camera here, and go ahead and click on join. And on the first, I have my camera in the upper right. What you can do is in the upper right is you can switch your camera. So now it's using the back of the camera instead of the front of the camera. That's up to you and how you want to do that. You can also mute your camera here, and you can also mute your microphone on the actual iPad by just clicking this icon. One thing to note is you do have to turn on the speaker on here. So the one thing that you do need to look down here is I have my speaker, and right now there's no light on it. So make sure there's this little circle here. Press and hold that.
Power on.
And it tells you power is on. This is a battery-powered speaker, so it will turn off about 2 to 3 hours just because it's battery-powered. So just make sure it is on when you start class. I would not worry about having to keep this off though. That it has enough battery life to last throughout the day without having to charge it. You also do have a couple of different audio settings. So in the upper right on the iPad is you do have your little microphone icon, and I have my volume adjustment through here for your speaker. So you can adjust that. Up at the top here, you do have your rocker for your iPad, so that's another volume control. And you also do have the volume down here on the speaker. It's a little hard to tell, but there is a plus and minus on the microphone or on the speaker on your stand. So those are the 3 different places. You just have to be aware of that you have the volume control. I'm just double checking my notes real quick, make sure I didn't have anything. So once you're in your Meet, that's really all there is to it. One thing I know we have questions on, if you do have multiple ALP students, is the best you can do for the tile grid is on the right-hand side is seeing your students. It's not like on your laptop where you can do the tile view to see all your students at one, so just do kind of keep that in mind. Once you're done with your Meet, all you have to do is exit out. I'm going to take my microphone here and go ahead and plug it back in. The one thing is that we want to avoid just leaving this hanging like this, please. Because otherwise it starts pulling on these wires everywhere. And if you notice, if you look here, we tried making these wires so they're not tight on anything. So the other part of that, please do not start like twisting your iPad. So if you notice I go up here, it starts getting really tight. So please avoid changing this at all. If you need to change your height or anything, please put in a tech ticket. So in this case, I'm just gonna clip this microphone around this wire, and then I can leave the microphone just kind of in there. That's fine, but nothing's tight. On the gooseneck here, if you wanna go a little bit kind of to the left and right here to get an angle, that's fine. But please don't just completely bring it at a 90-degree angle. And if you have to, just be really careful of these wires, because we've had a couple almost break from them being pulled just really tight by ourselves. We've just kind of noticed that as a tech team. If we start doing this really tight, these wires get really tight. So please just watch out for that. The other thing to keep in mind is these microphones, they only last about 2 to 3 hours. So do make sure, like when you go to lunch, that they are charging. The last thing we've seen is on the back here is, so this, a lot of people are just leaving it on all the time because it just charges once you plug in the wall. I do recommend when the first time using it, like at the beginning of class, turn both the receiver and microphone off for a few seconds and leave them back on to resync. Sometimes it'll look like they've synced up if you're just leaving this on all the time, but they're not actually syncing up. So that's just kind of a common thing we've seen. The other thing is, notice everything's kind of in line. I kind of have my iPad, the speaker, and I have in the back, the power strip. This does kind of float around a little bit. Just try to be a little bit careful and kind of keep it all in line when you're moving it, because if this starts twisting all around, all the wires are going to become twisted. We just want to make sure everything kind of keeps nice and orderly, but obviously it's on wheels, so you can move it around. Just be a little bit careful that everything isn't just kind of flinging around. You do have in the base here, you can lock it down here to get a little bit of locking mechanism at least, but just be a little bit cognizant of when you're moving it around. So that really about sums up Google Meets. It's similar to when you're on the laptop. The biggest difference is obviously you're joining through the iPad, but now you do have the microphone is attached to here, and you also do have an external speaker. You do have to use the speaker with the microphone. You can't use just one or the other, unlike the laptop. The one last piece of troubleshooting here is if nobody's getting any audio, the student can't hear you, or you can't hear the student, try not to do this long term, but worst case scenario, if you unplug this headphone jack from here, that takes the microphone and the speaker out of the equation. And now you're just using the iPad's speaker and microphone. But if you are having issues, let us know so we can get it fixed, because ideally, we're using both the speaker and the microphone. All right, that's all I have. If you have any questions, please submit a tech request. Thank you.